These days, it's safe for whiskey drinkers to trust that what's on the label is in the bottle. But if you drank whiskey in the 1800s, there's a good chance you swigged tobacco spit, iodine, or even sulfur. That's why a set of rules passed right before the turn of the century, changing the whiskey world forever. I'm Miguel Buencamino of Holy City Handcraft, a content and drink creator based out of Charleston, South Carolina. Today we're going to get into how the Bottled and Bond Act of 1897 saved the straight whiskey industry, and how the oldest registered distillery in America is celebrating this history.
I grew up here in Lynchburg, right up the street actually, only about 3 miles. My parents' house is still right up the road. And I was around the distillery a lot as a kid. I know that sounds strange at first. My grandfather was a master distiller here as well.
Gosh.
It's a beautiful, perfect place to make whiskey, right? Bottled and Bond American whiskey, I like to say it's kind of the most regulated form of whiskey in the world.
Before the Bottled and Bond Act of 1897, the whiskey world was basically the Wild West. While distillation was a booming industry, so was another: rectification. Rectification meant taking a distilled spirit and cutting it with other ingredients. But to compete with the distiller market, some rectifiers resorted to dubious practices. The situation got so bad that American distillers appealed for whiskey standards that would separate good, quality whiskey from the dangerous knockoffs undercutting legitimate distilling. Their appeal created the Bottled and Bond Act, and its job was to cut the flow of imposter whiskeys by imposing what's considered one of the first American consumer protection laws. To earn the Bottled and Bond accreditation, whiskeys need to be produced in a single distillation season by a single distiller, aged in a government-bonded warehouse for at least 4 years, and measure 50% alcohol by volume, or about 100 proof, only using water as an additive.
Old Number 7 has been around for a very long time. And now that this bonded has come out, I'd love for you to kind of talk through what makes this different. What makes us different from the staple, right?
Yep.
The classic Number 7.
Absolutely. Well, the first thing is the proof. That'll be the first thing that everybody notices. 100 proof requirement by Bottle and Bond. So it's going to be bigger, bolder right out of the bottle, no matter what, right? Because you're getting, a full 10% more alcohol. I call this one lovingly the fastball right down the center of the plate. So it's a big, classic Jack Daniel's cues. The second thing is, remember we talked about the color, that nice, rich, dark color in that whiskey, is we're actually targeting barrels for that dark color, which is going to mean more flavor from the barrel. So this is going to be an oakier whiskey. It's going to have a lot more of the toasted oak. You're going to get more tannins on the edge of your tongue. It's going to almost dry out the edges of your tongue more.
Sure.
And then the finish, you're going to get those baking spices and the spice from the barrel itself.
Can you kind of walk me through what is the ideal consumption for the new bonded line?
I love it just on the rocks.
Yeah.
But this was geared towards classic whiskey cocktails. A bonded old fashioned is perfect, but any classic whiskey cocktail, Boulevardier, Sazeracs, Manhattans, you can't go wrong. This was probably as much of a focus for us as we were thinking about putting this together. Consistent, big, bold flavor profile at 100 proof, darker whiskeys coming out of these barrels from the upper floors in our barrel house. That really all adds up to what we hope is really the ultimate cocktail.
Whiskey has changed a lot in 125 years, and so have the people who drink it. But as drinkers want to know more about what goes into their glass, distillers are turning to what made the Bottled and Bond Act so great for whiskey in the first place. It created one of the highest standards of quality in the world. Today, that's what Bottled and Bond brings to the table. A way to say, this is the good stuff.